about some things. So grab a cup of coffee or some popcorn, whatever you want to drink, and maybe hang out with us for a little bit.
Shot of tequila.
Yeah, whatever you want. Whatever sounds good to you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about being the version of yourself that already has everything you want.
Yeah, because most people talk about how they want to change, but they keep kind of hanging on to that old version of themselves that doesn't have it yet. You know?
Yeah, and you say you want abundance and you say you want peace, and you do, and we do, but you know, it's so easy to fall back into that old story. Yeah. The old things that we were told when you were a kid, like, you know, you're shy, Boyd's shy. Or what? You know, seriously, I was always told that, so I thought I was shy. I don't know. Am I shy? I've done a lot of things that I think show that I'm not as shy as I was told I was. And I'm sure you have too. So, you know, everybody, you know, we grow up in families and we grow up around friends, and we're kind of expected. We take on these roles.
These identities.
Identities, yes, that were kind of given from other people, and then we just live by it and believe it, and we don't have to do that. We can decide to change whenever we want.
Yeah, we can. So today we have like 7 core ideas, and I want you to stick around for number 7, because I think number 7 is a great example.
It is a good one.
All right, so number 1. Decide what you actually want. You know, a lot of people stay stuck because they never fully decide. They never, you know, they think about it, but they never actually step over to the other side and commit.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to go all in. And a lot of people say that. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that, because if you decide and then you don't live up to it, and you're not acting like it and thinking like it and being aware of how you're acting, thinking, reacting, responding, then you just keep reliving. It's almost like Groundhog Day. You kind of just, your life just keeps on this hamster wheel going around and around.
And it's been for years.
And you're waiting for something to come that's going to make you change. And the thing is what's going to change your outside is by changing your inside. And that is something, I wasn't taught that.
No, we were always taught, when that gets here, then we will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how about like the 1%? Well, the 1% and all that stuff. That's just not even, that's not a real thing. That's made to think other people are more talented or more better than us. No, seriously though, and you know, and some of them just inherited money. It doesn't make them better than us, and some of them are talented. That still doesn't make them better than us. We're all human, and we all can succeed and have a life that is fulfilling to us.
Right. Yeah. So that indecision. It creates mixed signals in our body and our spirit, and it kind of wreaks some havoc. So we really got to go all in.
And you know, we end up hoping and wishing and trying, and then a circumstance shows up, and it's against everything that we've been hoping, wishing, and trying to achieve. And then we go, "Oh, see, I knew it would. I knew that wasn't going to work out." That's just how it is. And then we just fall back into that, you know, and honestly, you have not failed until you decided you did. If you don't quit, you didn't fail. If you keep going, you're still working. You're still making progress, no matter what.
And you know, I think one of the ways to kind of get started on this is, we talked about how we used to do affirmations. You know, when I first started, I wrote out a bunch of things on papers and I hung them around our place so that when I walked by, I could remind myself, you know, like things like, I am worthy. I mean, we are all born worthy, but somewhere along the line, you know, tend to forget how worthy we really are. Maybe someone or people didn't treat us right, or maybe we're not being treated right on the job, or whatever. But we tend to like lose that grip
Yeah.
of how worthy we really are. And if you need to start with affirmations, then do it. Do it.
Yeah.
And if you fall back into that old self, just start right where you're at. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, it's not like you fell back and you got to start from scratch or something. You just change your mind, decide again, and start being, that version of yourself. And I was going to say something where you were talking there, and I can't remember what it was. But let me see, I had a couple of notes here. Yeah, like if you have a good day, then your faith is built up, and if you have a bad day, and then you're like starting to panic and doubt, and we just let the external world, the circumstances of the world, change us when we stay steady, no matter what, emotionally, mentally, and keep believing. We change the external world. We change the circumstances.
Because of our internal change.
Yeah, because really, the only thing the way we perceive the world is from our awareness and our consciousness. And I could look out this window and I see what I see, and somebody else could look out and they see a different. I mean, they see the same landscape probably, but
they perceive it.
They perceive it differently. Like, oh, I got to get out of here. I don't like it here. Or some people are like, oh, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Yeah. And it really is. It's just so everything is what we decide in our minds it's going to be. And that's like the reticular activating system. We end up seeing and paying attention to the things that we deem the most important, and that's everybody has that. It's part of our brain. And when we a good example was when you buy a new car like a Pontiac Grand Am, and then the next thing you know, you see Pontiac. I don't even know if they make those anymore. I had one of those years ago, but when I bought it, I saw them all over the place.
Right.
I did. They were like, I was like, man, I didn't realize this many people had those. It's crazy. Do they not make those anymore?
I don't.
I know they don't make Dodge Chargers anymore. Yeah. They stopped that.
I like the Dodge Charger. Well, you know what? That actually kind of brings us to core number 2. Because core number 2 is to ask yourself, if I already had this, what would I be thinking? And that's kind of like the reticular activating system.
Right.
Because it is. It's what we deem important, and that's what we're gonna see.
Yeah, I mean, you would be thinking, how would you carry yourself? Like what you were saying, if you knew you had a $10,000 check that it took 5 days to clear to get into the bank. Well, you have that. It's coming. But for those 5 days until it's actually yours, wouldn't you feel like...
How would you feel? How would you be acting? You already know that you got $10,000 coming into your account. You're going to have that, little pep in your step because you already know it's there. And that's how we should be thinking. That's how we attract things to us. By knowing we already have it. And whether we see it outside in our 3D or not, it's ours.
Because it's in our awareness. And that's the thing, in my last video, I talked about rest, release, and receive. And the resting is the really important part. This is where you actually realize that you are Christ consciousness and that Christ is the observer, and we are too, because we're one with Christ and God the Father and Holy Spirit, or however you want to say it. So we sit back and we view our thoughts and we view our circumstances. But when you view it from an eternal perspective, knowing that you're one with the Creator of everything, there's no lack of abundance. God doesn't have an awareness of lack. He said, I want to give you life abundantly.
Right.
You know, I mean, Jesus actually said that. So
the universe is not on a budget.
yeah, exactly.
I think
Bono once said, "The God I know isn't short of cash, mister."
Right? I think some of
So,
us can get in that lack mindset.
Yeah.
And think that, well, in order for me to have abundance, someone else loses out. And that's not how it works.
And if you guys have any questions for us, feel free to put them in the chat or
email us. You can
Yeah.
email us if you want to talk privately. I'll put it in the description, our email address.
yeah. So reach out, let us know, talk to us, let us know what you're thinking.
All right, core number 3: stop wavering. I think we just talked about this. Most people
Yeah.
change their identity based on their circumstances. Boyd was saying, good day equals faith, bad day, there's panic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, go ahead. Use the example.
yeah, so we need to realize that temporary conditions should not have the authority over our eternal identity. And I know you just mentioned this.
Yeah.
We were talking about the eternal. And, you know, sometimes things can feel so heavy that they do seem like they're just going to be forever.
Yeah.
It just seems like, well, that's a long time. This is going to be forever. But if you think about it, we are forever, and our circumstances are not.
And sometimes we feel too like we've been, how should I say it? Like we've missed the mark of where we want to be so badly that it's going to take years to get there. And you know, God, the universe, has a way of, once you get your insides and your thoughts aligned, things can turn around a lot more quickly than you realize. I mean,
they really do. And I think a lot of it too is your perspective changes. I know for myself, I've learned that you know, I can flip things around in my head and kind of realize that you know, something may have happened and it seemed negative when it happened.
Sure.
But when I look back, I'm like, oh wait, you know what? That actually worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
At the moment, in the moment, it seemed negative, but it turned out to be a positive. It turned out to work in my favor.
Right. You know, when we came back to America back in, what was that, late 2022, November of 2022, I think, we wanted to bring our cats back with us. And it was really expensive, and we wanted to come back to Thailand eventually anyhow. So we left our cats with friends. But I was really upset. You were upset too, because we wanted them with us. But you know, once we got to America and the way things went, we realized that it was so much better that we didn't bring him. That we just left him over here with some friends who took really good care of him. And we were gone almost exactly 1 year, and some miraculous things unfolded, and we got back, and we got our cats, and we live in this lovely country, and everything worked out really well.
So at the time, you know, when we couldn't bring our cats, we were just really devastated, really sad. And it seemed like, you know, we were never going to get them to America. And, you know, our Creator thinks bigger than we do. He knew He was bringing us back to Thailand and saved us and the cats of very long trips back and forth. So it worked out. It worked out in our favor.
Is there anybody in the chat right now?
No, I don't see anybody.
I thought this was right there.
No, it's there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's see. I hit that. All right. Number 4, and we talked about this. We talk about this one a lot. This is the I am principle. And we have got to be careful about how we talk about ourselves. And I know we all grew up and we were used to saying things like, I'm anxious, I am broken, I am tired. I'm not enough.
Yeah. And that's the thing, God spoke everything into existence, and God said, I am that I am. So whatever we put behind I am, we're kind of claiming that spiritually, actually. Into the quantum field, those words go out, and then that draws more of that back to us. It'll draw back more debt, more fear, more doubt, more. But so be careful when you say that. I mean, don't walk on eggshells. Everybody's going to mess up once in a while, but when you catch it, be aware, turn it around.
Yeah, that's kind of where those affirmations come in. And you don't have to use those all the time. So that just kind of helped me get started to remind myself to start saying positive things like I am worthy, I am enough, I am whole. A lot of us wait for someone else to complete us, and I'm sorry, I hate that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cute when I saw that in, what was it, Jerry Maguire? You complete me. No, you are whole. And it's not about completing each other, it's about complementing each other, and so start getting used to saying things like, I'm healing, I'm capable, I'm enough.
Yeah.
And that's really important, is remembering the I am. Yeah, because it helps you decide the life that you're going to reinforce.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
You have anything else you want to say on that?
No, go ahead and hit the next one.
All right, number 5, circumstances come and go.
I'm sorry, I'm watching these little cats.
Are you? They're out there. Storms are real, pain is real, challenges are real, but they are not necessarily permanent, like we had discussed.
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard people say too, like, pain in life is inevitable, but we make the suffering by fighting it so badly. I mean, nobody wants to be in pain. I mean, let's face it. So you want to get out of it, but at the same time, when you just get just so stressed out, the stress increases the pain. When you keep fighting against something, it increases, What you resist persists.
Sitting in it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and you end up kind of just sitting in that. And sometimes you can feel stuck, right. I think. So, like, you don't want your future to constantly emotionally... you don't become your future by constantly emotionally rehearsing your past. And this one really hit me because it reminded me of when Boyd and I used to be addicts. We're not recovering, we're done.
Right.
We used to be addicts. However, in that time period, I know that there are people in my life that I hurt because of the things I was doing during my addiction. And this one was hard for me to get past because I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for the things that I may have said or done during that addiction.
And sometimes forgiving yourself is the hardest thing. I think it's almost easier for us to give someone else forgiveness.
It really is. It really is. And I learned that, like, I was keeping myself in my past by continually feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Because I used to be an addict, and it took me a while before I finally just started pushing those thoughts away, because I'm not that person anymore. I don't identify as that person anymore. But it did take some time. It took some time because I was rehearsing. I was sitting in that.
Yeah, instead of reliving and rehearsing your past, get excited about your future and rehearse that in your mind. Rehearse the things you're going to do, the places you're going to go, the people you're going to help, the job you might have, the money you might make, whatever it is. Visualize that. Think on those things. Like the Bible says, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's good report. It's in Philippians. I think it's Philippians 4 or something. It says focus on these things, you know. I mean, there's a reason for that. I mean, because that's what you draw, you know, whatever you put your attention on multiplies.
And you get excited. When you think about
Yeah.
these good things, you get excited.
Yeah.
When you get excited, it raises your vibration.
Yes.
All right, number 6, the bridge of incidents. Okay, I'll take this one.
Oh, you
I'm
got
just
the
kidding.
computer. I can't.
One thing people don't realize is that when you truly decide internally, life often starts rearranging itself through a series of events you could have never planned.
And that's a Neville Goddard concept. I don't know. Anybody who's in the law of assumption knows who Neville Goddard is. But it's already done. Like, as soon as we decide something and choose something, it's done. But things go into action, people, situations, circumstances, and sometimes those circumstances look negative at first, like we were saying,
With our cats.
but they end up being good. So by fighting against them or deciding, like, I'm not going to do that, you could actually stop what you want, what you're wishing for or trying to manifest from
Right.
happening, because you're resisting it. You know, you're resisting this thing that just doesn't look quite right, but it might be the thing that leads you to exactly what you were looking for,
Right.
what you desire.
Like, you know, a simple explanation also is like maybe you go on a job interview and you don't get the job and you're thinking, I'm never going to get this career. This is never going to happen. And then 6 months later, you get a job in a different city, in a better town with better pay.
Yeah.
In a bigger company. You know, you
Right.
just never know, because things sometimes have to be rearranged so that you can fit into them.
Yeah, or you might even get a remote job where you could travel around and make money from wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people with jobs like that now,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool, I think.
You know, sometimes I look at it like, you know, I don't think as big as God thinks, you know, and
Yeah.
I know that He wants greater things for me than I can imagine for myself sometimes. When it seems like something isn't going my way, I don't always look at it like a bad thing anymore. I know that there's a reason. Something's happening for me that I'm not aware of yet.
Yeah. So you believe it's working out for the best, that the universe is always working in your favor. And God does love us. We are His children, and He does show His favor upon us. And things don't always look, you know, good in the circumstances and the external. But once again, they might be leading you exactly where you want to go. So.
Yeah, so get rooted in that. Get rooted in trusting the unknown.
Yes.
And we say this often because life is happening for you, and you are creating your reality internally. What's going on internal is what's going to show up for you on the outside.
We see the world as we are. We don't see the world as it is.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
We have filters, mentally, visually, even, that will only recognize the things, once again, like the RAS. We recognize the things we're looking for. If you're looking for problems and people not treating you right and stuff like that, you're gonna get more of that. I mean, you know, that always, stuff like that happens to us from time to time, but you're gonna multiply it when you just think everybody's like that. All men are jerks. Or you can't trust any. Yeah, you just throw everybody into one big stereotype, and then that's what you start seeing because you're looking for it, you know. And I think once again, that's just telling the old story, because at some point someone did you wrong, so now you're believing like that's just how it always unfolds. That's how it always occurs. And
Yes,
that's
you're
smart.
living in the past. You're
Yeah.
remembering from the past. Well, in the past, this has always happened. Well, you know what? We're not in the past anymore. We're in the now. We're in the now, and we can decide what's going to happen in the future and how we're going to be affected by it. We can only control ourselves.
We've had so many things happen in our life that we did not see coming. Good, bad things and good things. Things looked really bad before they got really good, like several times.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
Like where it was like, I hate to even admit, we were literally pawning things just to get by at one point. We would go to pawn shops and it was like that tight, and it was scary, and it's like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna, but you just. This is before I even knew about the law of attraction, but I did believe that we could get out of it. I knew somehow something would unfold, and it did.
Yeah, we finally took that step and quit talking about it and thinking about it,
and did what it
wavering.
took.
And made a decision. We made a decision
and
about our identity.
To
First, we were like, you know what? I think one of the biggest things we decided is we're not going to be addicts anymore. We're not doing this. We don't want to live like this. We want to change.
Yeah.
And everything seemed to just kind of
fall into place.
Yeah.
After that decision was made. Yes. You're exactly right.
Yes. All right. Number 7, and I really like this one. Number 7, you are the screen, not the movie.
Yeah, and it's when you're watching a movie, the end of the world could happen, or a building could explode, or someone gets killed, or whatever. But the screen isn't affected.
Yeah.
It looks like there's blood on the screen, explosions on the screen, but when that movie ends, that screen's still there in perfect shape. It wasn't even touched. And that's how we are deep down inside as the I am, the Christ consciousness within us that we're one with is eternal and indestructible. And really, that's how we can drop the fear, or at least lessen the fear in our lives, when we realize none of this stuff is really affecting us.
It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Our life is like a movie. We are watching it.
Yeah.
We're watching it. We can change it. We can decide what we're watching.
Yeah.
And make changes to our movie. But we're the screen, and we are constant.
Yes. We're the constant.
We're the constant. Our reality is the movie.
And the essence of us is eternal, like who we are, and if you think about it, think how many bodies you've lived in. At one point, you probably weighed 8 pounds and was this big, and then you're 20, and then you're 40, and then you're 60, and we're always renewing ourselves. Our organs are being replenished, or everything. Just while we're sitting here now, like literally millions of cells have died and been recreated.
Yeah.
Same with you. So, we're always being rejuvenated, regenerated, and that's that good. We don't even have to think about it. That's just God and nature, and that's the way He made it. And we just got to rest in that and trust in that.
We do.
And I know we want to control it, because we were taught to live in survival mode, which makes you want to look for the next worst thing that's going to happen and try to avoid it. But the answer is to trust that it's going to work out for you.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that is really, I think it's really important for people to realize that most of us and many of us still are, in survival mode, like constantly, and you don't even realize it. And once you get out of it, wow, do you see a difference? I see a huge difference in myself than when I was constantly. You just wake up with that. What is that? Cortisol.
Cortisol, yeah.
you know, and it's just going all day long. And we add things to it like caffeine, and I drink a lot of caffeine. So, but you know, we add things to it, and we will perpetuate it by, let's say you're driving to work and you're sitting in traffic and you're mad because you're late for work, and then you get to work and all you do is talk about how you're late for work because you were sitting in traffic. So we have learned from childhood to continuously perpetuate these negative things.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is we can learn to perpetuate these positive things and talk about positive things naturally, like we do negative.
Yeah. And the more you practice that and be aware of how you are thinking and what you're saying, and once again, don't walk on eggshells or anything, but just being aware is like 90% of it, because when you start catching yourself, you're like, nah, I don't mean that, you know, and then flip that around right away. Like she was saying earlier, like Michelle was saying, like, you don't go back to square one just because you fell off. You just get back on the horse and keep moving forward. And you're right back, you know, we only have now. It's always now. It's always now. So just decide again now, and then live from that going forward. You know.
Yeah, and really, you know, it's about trusting yourself, trusting the unknown, deciding who you want to be. And you know, another tip, something that I did, and I don't know if you've done this yet or not, but you know, I went down to the beach and I released my old self. I thanked my old self for getting me through everything that I needed to get through, you know, as a child, any trauma, or, you know, when I was in survival mode. And I went down to the beach and I thanked myself and I released it, because now I have a new identity, and that identity helped me get through what I needed to get through. And now this is me. This is me. And that was really helpful for me. It helped me release it so that I wasn't going back and forth. Because we can have a tendency to do that, fall back into our old patterns, because that's what we were used to.
Yeah, I have a video from I don't know, a couple months back called "Goodbye Old Me," and it talks about, you know, there is a little bit of a grieving process when you let go of that old self, and when you let go of those old habits and those old thoughts, because you are, in a sense, dying to that, and you're releasing that, and that's a part of you that you've been carrying around for who knows how many years or decades or whatever. So it's natural to feel uncomfortable or a little bit of sadness, but that's normal. So don't think it's not, like Michelle said. And that's a good thing to do, is to almost like ritualize it in a way, to take the steps to go somewhere. Like, I know a lady from Joe Dispenza thing. Like, she was at one of his week-long retreats.
Mm-hmm.
And she like went and rode on a tree and stuff, and like kind of to herself, and kind of left herself there, like at that retreat, and even like wrote some things on the tree, or like carved them in there and left it, which is almost like what you did down
just
by the
something
beach.
a personal kind of. I like that. And you know, find something that works for you. You don't have to do what I did. You know, I had heard about someone else doing that through a video, and I thought, you know what, that's a great idea, and I think that'll work for me, and it did. So, you know, I just wanted to share that.
And the real thing is making that decision of who you want to be, and then holding firm to it regardless of what shows up in your face, because you know some circumstances are going to come at you. And then stop abandoning the person you chose to be. Just because things aren't looking good at the moment, don't go like, oh, I guess that didn't work, I'm going to do that. That's not going all in. That's just trying it out. And this is a lifestyle. It's not let's try this out thing. I mean, it's okay to try it out, and there are methods, and there's people who say you can manifest things in a day or 3 days, and or I can manifest for you, and all that kind of stuff. And can that happen? Yeah, there's spontaneous healings, things like that happen, but in general, it's usually a lifestyle. It's not some method to get something. It's not magic.
Magical.
It is a little bit in a way.
I mean, like magical. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
can make this appear. I can make
Yeah.
that appear. It doesn't really
Yeah.
work
like
that.
make a potion and drink it and it changes everything or something. Yeah, it's not like that. So it does take consistency. Let's just say that.
That is the key word, consistency. Really.
So,
Showing up for yourself every day, not abandoning yourself if something outside of you doesn't look good.
right.
You know? Yeah, staying steady.
Trust in the unknown, like you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And that's easier said than done sometimes.
It is.
It is.
In all fairness, it is.
I mean, we don't have it all figured out, but these are things that we do,
Yeah.
that we're trusting in,
Yeah.
that have really made a difference in our lives. And,
Oh yeah, I catch myself every day having thoughts or feelings, and then I recognize it, and turn it around, try to focus on something else, or I'll meditate, or do something creative, write something, create something. Just drawing can take your mind off things, seriously.
Yeah, I do that.
I know.
I need to
So
get back into that.
I used to do that. I haven't really recently.
One time we were talking about, remember, there was a woman who named her brain. She gave her
Oh yeah,
her brain
I talked
a name.
about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if something doubts
Biff. I call
there
mine
you go.
Biff. Yeah.
If doubts are coming in, just be like, you know what, Biff? We don't have time for that today.
Yes.
We're not entertaining those ideas.
Yes.
And you're turning down that volume. I think Biff will stop biffing
Yeah,
you
you
more.
can even talk, once again, I talked about talking to yourselves. You can talk to your brain and go, thanks for trying to protect me. That's your living in survival. Thanks for trying to protect me, but everything's all right. We got this. We're safe. Telling your body and your brain and your cells that they're safe, and that you love them, and that you're divinely protected, and that every cell in your body hears that and responds to that, and thank yourselves for the service that they've given you throughout the years, for how many years you've been around. They do. They serve us, like I was saying. We don't even have to think about it, and they're doing the work. They know what to do. It's divine intelligence, from Christ consciousness that's in each and every one of us that keeps us going, So.
Yeah. You know what that made me think of is, fear and excitement feel the same way in our body. And it's our mind that decides whether you're feeling fear or excitement. But either way, it feels the same. It feels the same. And our mind will be like, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling fear.
But you can also turn that around, too.
I'm feeling excitement.
Yeah. I know we got some things to do. We're not going to be on next week on Thursday night because we got some stuff to do. But, we have to go do some things. And I got to tell you, I'm a little bit, sometimes I feel anxious, and other times I'm like, no, I'm excited because this needs to be taken care of. We're going to go deal with this. And so, yeah, everybody goes through it. We're certainly not saying we figured it out, but we have, over the last 3 years, learned a lot, studied a lot about law of assumption, law of attraction, the quantum field, which I believe is just like gravity. It's a part of nature that God created, and we can tap into that and draw things to us quicker, but it's not magic, once again. Instantaneous magic. Although it does happen as soon as you've decided, it is yours. It's in your awareness. and you're not waiting for it, you're watching for it to happen and how it's going to happen. So I like that a lot too. I like that thought. And I keep bringing myself back to that too. When I feel like I'm waiting, I'm like, no, it's going to happen. I'm watching for it to happen.
There you go.
It's coming.
I like that. All right, I want to end with a little bit of homework. All right.
Everybody loves homework.
All right, I want you to write this down for yourself. If I already had the peace, healing, confidence, freedom, relationship, or the life I desire, who would I be? What would I think daily? How would I stop fearing? How would I carry myself? Because you carry yourself differently when you begin to feel better about yourself. You might stand a little taller. What habits would naturally disappear, and what would I finally believe about myself? And I hope you do this. I hope you write this down and start practicing it. Take a look at your
I just want to add this too. You're never alone. We always are one with Christ, the Holy Spirit. We have guardian angels. This is all taught. There's been people throughout the ages who've experienced different things like that. I know I've had some interesting experiences in my life. So you're never alone. I know we feel like it because we're in these bodies and we feel separate from everything, but we are all one. First of all, we're all one. And Christ is in us. And he is love, and we always have access to that. And there's other angels and beings around us. We only see, what is it again? It's like literally 0.0035% of the light spectrum. That's all we can see with our. So there's almost more than 99% of everything around us is invisible. It's
to our eyes, our human eyes.
And there's a reason for that, probably because it's so intense and beautiful, and we couldn't even begin to comprehend. So it's probably more for our protection than anything.
Sure. Well, I think it would change our earthly experience.
Yes, and
because we are souls having a human experience.
Exactly.
So
that's a good note.
Remember that. So life is happening for us. We were here because we're having a human experience. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Yep. Have a peaceful, great day. Wish you the best.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.